Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to the GMT podcast, where we discuss the housing crisis in the Waterloo region, its effects and what it is, and possible sustainable solutions. According to one article on City News by Justin Collier, in 2024, over 2,300 people were experiencing homelessness in the Waterloo region. Survey: homelessness can lead to mental health, food insecurity, and many other issues. And hence, these people need help. And one of the people who work day in, day out to help those people is Eric Phillip, the CEO of Threshold Homes and Supports, our guest today.
And I'm the CEO at Threshold Homes and Supports.
So what does Threshold Homes and Supports do?
Yeah, so Threshold Homes and Supports is a multi-service housing and mental health support agency. We support about 350 people in housing units across Waterloo region. Anyone who could be lower acuity to higher acuity mental health needs, so like low mental health needs to high mental health needs. We also provide crisis bed support in Waterloo region. We have an ACT and FACT team. So we do a lot of really cool, amazing things for a lot of people in the area, and I'm very lucky to work there.
So where do you find the people with the mental health problems?
For sure. So there's a wait list currently to access mental health housing in Waterloo region and mostly anywhere. So the way Thresholds works is that you would go on our wait list because you need both mental health services. So you're over the age of 18 with a persistent mental health condition, and you need a housing unit. Once you reach the top of that wait list, we would supply you with both a unit, a place to live, and somebody to support you.
How does the housing come with a specific person for each room, or?
So it would depend on the type of program that you're going into. Most of the time, we would give someone what's called a rent subsidy to live in just a regular apartment in the community. So they would use their ODSP shelter allotment, which is about $599, to go towards the rent. And then we would pay the difference between that amount and the rent that the landlord charges. So we have people who can then live in community without having to worry about the high cost of rent, which is a great thing. And then we'd have a support worker that's attached to them to help them manage their day-to-day.
Which people qualify for this support?
Sure. So only thing you have to be is over the age of 18, and you have to have a severe and persistent mental health issue. So you have to be living with a mental health condition. Other than that, anyone is welcome to go on our housing wait list. How we prioritize people in most need is a different story. So that may depend on what your current circumstances are, what your background is, what your needs are, where you're currently living, to how fast we make sure you can get into a home. Some people, for example, if you have a current home and you're stable, you may not be prioritized for a home versus someone who's like living outside, is not connected to supports, and is deeply at risk. So we would make sure that person gets a home first.
In Ontario, Waterloo region hosts a lot of international students, a lot of visitors. Do they also qualify for this?
So you'd have to be a resident, and you have to be living here or willing to live here. So for sure, anyone could qualify. I will tell you that there's lots of different agencies that support lots of different populations. So there is agencies that are prescribed for new Canadians and supporting them in that process. We're specifically mental health oriented. So if they meet the conditions of being over 18 and having a mental health condition, then we will absolutely help you.
Have you found the number of the homeless people or people facing mental health problems has grown over the years, or it keeps reducing?
For the elder population, or just
for
everyone?
The people with the mental health
problems? It's gotten much, much more challenging over the last few years. COVID had a big impact on the overall mental health of the general population, as well as the housing crisis. So people became more unwell, and it became harder to have a home. And all those things contributed to the overall mental health status of the population. It's made the job of Thresholds much harder, but it's what we're here for. So we just do our job and get out there and keep working.
So do you develop the properties on your own?
We do. So we do housing development. So Thresholds, we buy properties, we develop affordable housing like this one, 292 Sheldon, we built this. And then we also, like I said, lease external units. So any way we can secure housing for people in need, we will take those steps no matter what it takes. So we have currently 2 housing developments going on at 667 Waterloo, and there's one at 14 Edinburgh in Guelph. 667 Victoria, is for half Indigenous population and everyone who is at risk. And then the project in Guelph is for seniors over 55 who are at risk.
Has the Waterloo crisis, has the water crisis in the Waterloo region affected your development?
I hope not.
Oh, so you have not yet faced any issues getting the licenses?
I don't think we'll have any problems, but wait and see.
For the people who access these services, how do they get to know about them?
For sure. So a lot of times we promote our work through Rosalind and other great team members who advocate for our services to be available. So a lot of times we'll have our services referred from other partners who say they'll find someone to say, are you on our wait list? Are you connected to the thresholds? And we all kind of help each other that way. There's a lot of different pathways in the community to receive many different services. So anytime we try to come into contact with a person who might be at risk, we'll take the steps to refer them to whatever services we think they might need. And that happens for other partners as well. So maybe they access a shelter, maybe they access a resource in the community. We all kind of work together to make sure people who are at risk are connected to services and get the help they need. Other than that, you just have to look it up at different places like Here 24/7 or look at Threshold's website to find that information.
So do the people who come to these residences get a subsidized fee for the rents? And
Yep. So everyone we support would either live in one of our own buildings, in which case we would only charge them the ODSP amount of $599, or we would house them in a third-party rental unit, and they would get rental subsidies to make sure they can afford the place they're going to live. And then if they got a job or if they keep working, their amount they're earning in their living would contribute towards their rent going forward.
so how do you finance this program?
For sure. So Thresholds is funded through Ontario Health for all our support workers and the Ministry of Health for rental subsidies. The Ministry of Health gives us money every year to allocate towards rental subsidies to make sure people can have affordable housing.
During the extremely cold temperatures, exposure to cold can lead to frostbite and hypothermia, according to the Region of Waterloo website. And some people are exposed due to lack of shelter. Our guest right now provides little more insight on what they do to help these people.
My name is Jessica Hill. I am the team lead here at Threshold's Warming Center at 298 Lawrence Ave in Kitchener.
So if someone walks into the Threshold homes, what's the first thing they have to do? What's the first process?
So when someone first enters, we would engage with them in our intake process. And so our intake is a little bit more in depth than what you might see typically in a warming center space. So it touches on all the demographic information, but also asks questions about what services somebody would like to be connected with, what services, what needs they have currently. And so it is a little bit more in depth, but what we've done to make it unique is individuals only have to take part in that intake process one time on their first visit. We do aim to be low barrier. So if an individual indicated they were uncomfortable providing a name or a date of birth, identifying information like that, we wouldn't pressure them to. It is really helpful to have like even an alias attached to the person so that in conversation we know what to refer to them as, but then so we can endeavor to connect them to some of those services they indicate on intake that they would like to connect with. And so every subsequent visit, as people are entering the space, they would be asked by a staff member if they've been here before, or if it's one of our regular staff team, oftentimes it's as simple as a, hey, how are you doing today? And we can track those stays then internally in a system that we utilize here.
So what about those people that are uncomfortable with sharing their information?
Mm-hmm.
How would you track what they want to do and all that?
So they would still go through the intake process. They would be offered opportunities to just leave sections blank if they were uncomfortable answering. We would also engage them in conversation. Like, if you're not comfortable providing your real name, that's okay. Do you have a preferred name? Do you have something you like to go by? And so we could then track it through that. As long as there's some kind of something that we can attach to the individual, it's not just entirely blank, that makes our jobs a lot easier for sure. But we aim to meet people where they are at. We aim to work with them in a way that works for them.
Are people allowed to come in at any time, like the whole day?
So we are open 7 p.m. till 7 a.m. And so any point in time throughout that period, they can come here. We do, when there's extreme weather, we've been opening as early as 4 p.m., but any time in that time frame. So it doesn't matter whether you're showing up at 4 p.m. when we open early, or it's 7 p.m. or 12 a.m. As long as we have capacity in the space, we invite people in.
On this episode, we discussed with the people who are already offering sustainable solutions, and we discussed on what they would do and what could be done to improve the services they already offer. Once again, Musime Graham, GMT Podcast.